Hello and welcome to Alte Herren. My name's Rob Runacres and I'm at Dreynevent 2017. I need to start off with a quick apology. We haven't put anything out this year because life, basically. A lot of stuff's been happening for myself and Hans. So yeah, I'm at Dreynevent in Vienna. This is one of 4 halls that use the event. So it's a really big event. It's one of the classic ones, along with things like Dijon. So I will be talking to various people throughout the day, hopefully giving you an idea of the action. Cheers. Hey, so I'm with Oriol Salvador from Barcelona.
Hi there.
Who is, I've just basically jumped on to get him to do an interview. So how many times have you been at Dreynevent?
Dreynevent times.
Yeah.
5, 6.
5, 6. This is quite a regular event for you.
Yeah, I came maybe twice or 3 times in a row. Then a couple of years I didn't came. And now I think that it's the 3rd in a row.
So what is it about Dreynevent that makes you want to come back?
Well, I think that it's a reference event. You find a lot of people, a lot of trainers, good mood, good ambient. So you can find people like this guy, which I love a bit. And you find people, tournaments. I'm not much prone to tournaments, but well, it's not a so competitive tournament, which I prefer maybe. Yeah.
Okay, do you want to talk a bit about Barcelona, because you're one of the main people behind that event?
Yeah, we're running an event in Barcelona, which will be from the 2nd to the 4th of June, and we'll have a lot of good people like Rob Runacres and others, which are some are better, some are worse. And we'll have Rob, we'll have other teachers, and we will start beginning posting more information soon.
Okay, is there a website for this?
Yeah, it's Barcelona HFM, which is Historical Fencing Meeting. So it's www.barcelonahfm.com.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Lastly, what are you teaching here? Are you teaching at all? Or are you...
Not at all. No,
okay.
This year, not this year.
Just a credit. Because I mean, what I'd like people to know about for Oriol is he teaches a lot in sword and buckler and also longsword as well.
Mainly longsword.
Yeah.
Mainly longsword. And also sword and buckler and sometimes rapier.
Yeah. Okay, because you're one of the main instructors at Barcelona. So
well, I'll be teaching 1 or 2 classes.
I mean in general at the club there as well.
In the club, yeah, one of the main instructors.
Right.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for Oriol, because he's a very, very good instructor, a very good fencer.
Thanks for your words.
Cheers, thanks
Thank
Oriol.
you.
Cheers. Hey, so we're at Dreynevent. I'm with Teun Cool, Alte Herren favourite. How are you finding Dreyn?
It's really nice. It's very, very social atmosphere. It's very, very friendly and a lot of like happy fencers.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of the quality of fencing?
I'm very used to the tournament scene where people are very, very much focused on high level intensity fencing, and the level it changed here. I think rapier and some small sword here is great. I've seen some really, really cool stuff. But it's much more focused on friendly free sparring than on very competitive sparring. You get different fighting.
So you have competed?
I did, yeah. With
in rapier and dagger.
With rapier and dagger,
yeah.
It actually went quite well.
Very well, yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your class. What were you doing?
I've been doing 17th century Dutch self-defense with Nicolas Petter, and I did a Dutch saber class. And within the HVN I'm also starting my own saber class. We're doing Dutch saber according to Siebenhaar, and with 20 members we're like having a full introduction course now. So I'm happy with how that goes.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned to me about Saber Symposium earlier. Yep. Does that fit in with that at all? Or?
Yeah, I'm trying to get those guys to join to the International Saber Symposium, which if you guys like sabers, International Saber Symposium, it's a really cool event. It's
is there a website?
Yes, it's Saber like Lion Symposium.com, and otherwise on Facebook. 22nd and 23rd of April. It's absolutely worth going for if you like sabers.
Okay, and just finally, one other thing. I believe you've got a new video set of lessons coming out on YouTube.
Yeah. What me and Anina are going to do is I started a channel on YouTube, HEMA Fitness, where we will be posting videos how to improve your physical attributes within your sparring. I mean, as much as techniques are the thing to study on, without the speed and explosiveness and the strength, you won't be able to use those techniques in a match. So I don't want people to think that we need to just train physics like for example some sports fencers do. But you do need, I think as a fencer, you need to be physically capable to pull those things off. So we are going to get a camera and start posting videos on HEMA Fitness to show how to improve your leg work or your stamina or your explosiveness.
Okay, great. And when those are up, we'll obviously put a link on in the later blog.
Cool.
So thanks very much.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Hi, so I'm with Anthony Richard of Black Armory. He's about to show us through all the wares he's brought to Dreynevent on quite a quiet Sunday, as one might expect at a HEMA event. Thank you for joining us, Anthony.
Pleasure.
Okay, so you've got a lot of stuff here. I think the thing that a lot of people would like us to look at first of all is the jacket.
Sure.
So can you take us through one of the jackets?
Absolutely. The jacket is a jacket that has been designed to fill what we consider to be sort of a gap in the available jacket lines. I mean, we have the Spes, we've got the Neylands, Garchardoni's doing some great stuff, BBT's got theirs. There's some interesting things coming out of the US right now. But we wanted to put together a jacket that privileged a light jacket for training and controlled sparring with a good neck protection and really heightened mobility, the ability to really practice our disciplines with all of the arm raising and shoulder movement that we need. This is my business partner Thomas Lobo with his personal jacket. That mobility is achieved through the cut and the stitching.
In fact, if Thomas, you could just raise your arms right up above your head, because this is something when I've been judging that has been a real problem for me, has been people having it lift up high and exposing the waist quite considerably. So this answers that.
It does answer that, and it answers that through the cut and the stitching, which are ancient. The look of the jacket is a little bit medieval, but that's because the same engineering concerns existed in the 14th, 15th century. The stitching of the back is not straight. It follows the motion of the arms and the bones.
Yep.
If we go back, actually, Thomas doesn't have his mask, but if we go over to the mannequin here, we can see the way the collar works, which is designed to be worn outside of the mask bib.
It's interesting because certainly Dave Rawlins has raised quite a number of concerns about this, and we've all had concerns about this and tried to look at how to deal with this.
In fact, a while back he did a video with a prototype cardboard
yes,
that
he
was
did,
worn,
yeah.
outside of that, which I actually had not seen. He contacted me after the jacket, after he'd seen the jacket, and said, "Hey, I did something like this." So the collar comes up high here. We don't have a mask cover on this mask. A Spes type mask overlay would be worn here on the outside. We have a little, I don't know if that even shows up, but
Yeah.
It's worn on the outside. The bib is worn on the inside, which means that over the larynx and the front of the throat, we actually end up with 3 layers of protection. This then comes up. We've got blade catchers all around, all the way to behind the ear, not just on the front. Okay.
And how does that actually affect the mobility of the head? Does that kind of lock the head into the shape?
The first couple of times you wear it, you always lock your head in.
Right.
Right? Because we all have this habit of wanting to protect ourselves, and we close the mask down underneath the collar much too tight. This is not designed to be a tight fit. If you put it in tight, you're gonna feel it. If you put it on reasonably loose, just like that, you then realize
And it's going to be a fairly freakish sort of event that gets it down there.
It's going to get, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You need to have somebody who's really not a friendly fighter getting you while you're on your knees.
Okay. Something that also strikes me is it's not as bulky as I thought it would be. In some of the pictures I saw to begin with, it looked quite cumbersome, but it actually is quite a smart fit, isn't it?
Some of the early photography was not as flattering as it could have been. We did get some comments that it looked like a military IUD jacket,
Bomb
or
disposal jacket, yeah,
or whatever, which got a good chuckle.
But there are nice reviews from Matt Easton and Keith Farrell online, which will give objective views on this. I just want to take a quick shot. We've got all this variety of colours here, so I'm assuming you can make to order within a range of colours.
Our standard jacket is the standard cut black jacket. We've got that in 4 sizes. We count them 0, 1, 2, 3, which correspond roughly to an extra small, medium, large jacket. We can custom fit larger or smaller jackets for an additional fee and an additional time. Then we have some standard colors. Blue, red, yellow, green are easy. There's a small additional fee for that color. And then we've got color combinations. Actually, these are the same combination. We've got 3 standard configurations. I can send you a little chart that you can maybe put with the video that shows that.
That'd be good.
If you like. But essentially, we've got a left-right variation. We've got a variation where the entire jacket is one color and the sleeves are a second color. And then the third variation is all one color with the forearms and the collar a second color. That is a slightly additional fee. To give you an idea, the jacket retails in its basic configuration at 230 euros here in Europe. A single color is 20 euros more, which brings it to 250, and a color combination adds 30 euros over the base price, which means that jacket is 260.
And you do ship outside of Europe?
We do ship outside of Europe. We've just sent out our first jackets to Scott Brown in the US at HEMA Supplies, who's going to be retailing them there. Keith Farrell carries them out of Glasgow. And we are taking care of continental Europe ourselves at the moment. But it's not impossible that we'll have other distributors even in Europe at some point.
Fantastic, thank you for that. Do you want to walk us down some of the other things you got? Because Black Armory does a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically Black Armory has 3 categories of products. We've got our own products, like the jacket that we designed from the ground up. It's entirely made in France. It's made 30 kilometers from our offices in central France. So those are products that we control completely from design all the way through manufacture. Then we've got a number of products like the jewelry that we're going to look at, which are products that are made by manufacturers or designers that either come to us or that we identify and that we want to help develop. Oscar Genovez practices HEMA in Barcelona. He's a jeweler, does absolutely fantastic work. Had a first few prototypes that he designed and that we saw, and we said, hey, would you like to make these for us? And can we do new designs? And can we do new things? So right now we've got a rapier, we've got a long sword, we've got sword and buckler in earrings, pins, and pendants. But we're also starting to work on prototypes for a poleaxe and for various
wonderful,
really fun things. We'll get to cufflinks eventually because some of us still wear them. So that type of product and the rubber trainers.
Let's just walk down here.
Over here, for example. These lines are made were developed by Jolly Knight Armory in the Ukraine. But very quickly in our conversation, we decided to get into a relationship where we're probably going to be rebranding these over the next couple of months. And we're going to get into a much closer relationship where they're manufacturing and we're co-designing and we are distributing. So again, a number of things that are currently on the drawing board there are a 15th century halberd, which is going to be a lot of fun to play with. And various other things. We currently have in that line, we've got a training rondel dagger with good flexibility. So
that's nice.
So we can finally get in close and really do some fictional damage as opposed to the real damage that we do.
But you do a stiffer model as well for those
now,
people who want to deal with the stiffer ones?
A stiffer model.
Okay.
But we have a stiffer model in our third way of doing business,
Right.
which is we distribute also for known brands. So, for example, a stiffer rondel dagger would be the Cold Steel dagger,
Okay.
which is this one, which is nice, but stiffer. So we've got the Cold Steel products there. We represent Red Dragon, Rawlings, all the stuff in the night shop on Continental Europe. We've got the Spec gear. We represent PBT as well. These are another partnership with a Polish company called Go Now, which are the foam training weapons, and are a lot of fun. They're stiffer than the role-playing weapons or whatnot that you find on the market because we've designed them to be usable in HEMA. Meaning good contact. I mean, it's never going to feel like a steel sword.
No, but it's good entry, isn't it? And also, I would say good for kids if anyone's interested in teaching the kids.
And not just. I mean, we use them also in the club to be able to play with longsword or saber technique in a truly civil combat context. No protection. I'm on the street. I'm using a longsword. Obviously, it doesn't behave the right way, but you can actually get into hitting your friend on the top of the head with a longsword at full speed, and he's just going to go, ow.
Yeah.
As opposed to. So, those are basically the three categories.
Yeah.
We resell for known brands. We help brands develop new products, and that's my personal big thing. I love it. It's a lot of fun, and there are a lot of absolute gems out there. People who are making absolutely amazing stuff in their garage, in their workshops, or whatever, and a few of them have the desire to professionalize those lines, and it's just really great to copy them.
Anthony, thank you very much for your time and good luck. Cheers.
Thank you.
Hi, so I'm with Kool from the Netherlands, and how's your Dreynevent?
Good, very good.
Yeah?
We started out on Friday to teach my first workshop, and it's always a pleasure to be here. Lots of old friends, lots of new friends, and there's a lot of fun and sparring. And it's really a nice social event as well.
It's a very relaxed event, isn't it? It's a good one to visit, I think, for people who are perhaps quite new to HEMA as well. It's a very welcoming one.
Yeah, and you have workshops on all different levels. It's not just the advanced, it's not just the beginner stuff. The programmers, in this case ANSI, and for the previous years Harry Winter, they really handpick the instructors, and they really ask about, okay, what you're going to do, know what you're going to do exactly, on what level. So it's there's a really good vetting process there. Yeah.
Okay, well let's talk about what you've been doing in this event. What have you been teaching?
I've been teaching a workshop on Langenord, with a long point, with longsword. We do German longsword, and what all the options are from the long point, and also how to break the long point in the end.
And how was that taken by the students? Do you feel it was a good response?
Yeah. I got a lot of humble brag. Sorry, I got a lot of good response back for students that not only like the way I teach, but also we like to explain things in motions. So I can just take one chapter. So to break Langenord, you have the Schielhau, one of the Meisterhauer. So I could just ramble on about that for 2 hours, but then no one will enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I like to divide it up into motion. So how can I learn to play with distance while I'm doing this, while I'm doing the motion? And from Langenord, it's basically 3 different techniques. They're basically the same motion. You go up to a high wind, And
so your techniques that you're describing are in fact trying to illustrate a principle.
yeah.
I think that's something, just to waffle about my workshops as well, something I've been discussing with other instructors is trying to ensure that at a workshop, which can only ever give a taste of what's out there, you're never going to remember stuff, is to try and illustrate principles with techniques rather than go through a set number of techniques. So one of the things I've been enjoying about this event has been, whilst it's very relaxed, there's been quite a lot of technical discussion going on.
And if you look at the manuscript, the Lichtenauer one we're using, then it's lesson number 1, lesson number 2, lesson number 3. But if you take, for example, lesson number 13 and combine it with 5 and combine it with 7, then you have the same motion in different distances. So you can learn the principle of distance by using the same motion, calling it different techniques, and linking them all together in this way.
So there's a greater depth, therefore, in these manuals than just a set number of techniques.
It's not just you start at 1 and you work to 17, but it's you have to combine. One of my friends and colleague, Ingolf Koolwijs, he described it as it's not just a list, it's like a web, interlinking all the different techniques, interlinking the principles of distance and timing, and you can drop yourself into the web and learn one node of this web, and then you drop yourself into another side of the web and learn another node, and while you're building up nodes like your neural system, you just interlink all the different techniques, and then you can say, okay, this one relates to this one, like this one relates to this one, and then you start forming your own links, and this is much more powerful for a student than just me as a teacher saying, okay, now do this, now do this, now do this.
Good. Let's talk about your club. Where is your club based? What's it called?
It's called Zwaard-en-Steen. There we go. Which basically means sword and stone. And I always get asked, why the stone? Well, in my vision of history and romantic stuff, Excalibur, of course, and sharpening stones. But there's also a translation of one of the sonnets of Shakespeare, in a Dutch translation, where it says, if you can fight with the sword, but you're cool and calculating as a stone, then you really have the true art. So, and this is one of the explanations I use to explain our silly name.
It's not a silly name, it's a great name. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, carry on.
We're based in Utrecht and in Rotterdam, so in the west and southwest part of Holland. And we're doing quite well, actually. We just celebrated our 14th anniversary. And we now have, again, humble brag, we have about 140 students. We have a team of 8 great instructors. We have 1 instructor in training at the moment. So he's supposed to be done in about a year with his instructor training. And yeah, it's going good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's something coming up that I believe you need to tell people about.
Yeah. Last year we organized the first a big international tournament in the Netherlands, the Dutch Lions Cup, and we're planning on doing it again this year. So for all you out there, the 26th of August in Utrecht, right in the middle, in the center of the Netherlands, and it's going to be the biggest HEMA tournament south of Sweden. Let's call it.
Well, that's a challenge because there's a lot springing up. But what are you going to be covering in that?
Just longsword for now. It's the second year we're doing this. We want to go to rapier and dagger and single-handed weapons as well, but it will take some time to get the whole organization fixed. And it's better to start with one and then build up if you have the opportunity. Then, it's like Fiore says, basically, just start with 1, then 2, maybe 3.
Now, it's interesting. There's obviously a lot of these competitions that are now coming up, which is a good thing before anyone starts a row. But a number of us are also wanting to express some concern that there are a decreasing amount of workshop-based events in certain areas. How would you answer that?
Well, next to the big tournament we're organizing, we also, in our own school, we like to invite instructors over to teach, because I have the privilege to travel all over the world and teach my hobby and teach my sport. But my students, they just see me or our instructors. And while we bring back the knowledge from the whole world back to our school, you also would like a different interpretation of stuff. So we invite instructors. And the new format we're using now is not just invite one instructor for a whole weekend, but 3 instructors. So last year we had Carl Rieberg, Thomas Niesel and Axel Patterson at the same weekend, each teaching a 2-hour workshop per day. So 2-hour workshop on Saturday and 2-hour workshop on Sunday, with a nice build-up in it. And all the 3 workshops on that one day need to have an overlinking theme. So something about one of the principles. And while one is teaching, the other 2 have in the other hall do sort of master classes, clinics with students. So you get 20 minutes one-on-one time with Axel Pettersson or Carl Rieberg, and you can ask them questions or you can train with them. And this has been such an eye-opener, because you not only get the 2-hour workshop or 3 times 2-hour workshops in 2 days, but you also get the one-on-one time with them, and then they can really go into detail. And you can ask them a question saying, okay, my Zwerchhau is off and I have difficulty with this, and they can say, but it's not the Zwerchhau, it's your footwork. And we're going to work on this, and then the rest will eventually come. Or they can say, but it's your distance management, we're going to work on this. And if you have the great professionals we're trying to invite in our school, it's a lot of knowledge you can transfer one-on-one to your students.
Do you feel this is therefore the way that things that perhaps need to go, is to keep it tighter?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, for example, the great tournament scenes like Swordfish and Long Point have always had workshops.
And Dutch Lions.
But they've had workshops there, but of course the difficulty is if you're running a massive competition and people are going to competitions, the workshops are good, but doesn't have the emphasis. And conversely, you have other events where the competition isn't so much, and it suffers. Do you feel that we perhaps need to completely separate these two, or
you need to have a focus on one?
Yeah.
Because you can't do, again, as Fury says, if you do 2 things at the same time, you're going to fail at both. Then again, the opposite has been proven. There are great events that have a tournament and some workshop event.
But I would just say, just to make this clear, the workshops of these events have always been very good. It's just obviously it's the attendance, really, because naturally you get people really wanting to go for the competition or really wanting to go to the workshop, and things have to work around, don't they?
We have another event in the Netherlands called International Lowland HEMA Gathering. It's by my colleague Lopez, and they focus so much on competition that the workshops are really, and they're also workshops. So while the competition was going on, nobody would visit the workshop, and then you would have these A-class instructors there teaching 5 or 6 people, which is great for the students.
It's great for the people, isn't it?
It's great for the students, but you want to be able to transfer more knowledge to people. And what I've also seen is these workshop events. You have, as an instructor, you have a 2-hour slot to imprint the students with something you think worthwhile or they can do with. But 2 hours is such a short time you can basically relay one principle or your vision of the principle, and that's it. You can give them a taste of the whole meal, of the whole kitchen basically. And if they're interested, they will come back and ask you or train with you. But even a workshop event is only for tasting. And
sure. I mean, I don't. Again, it's not a criticism of it. And I might actually invite any of our viewers to perhaps come in with some of their thoughts, and maybe we can talk to them. But it's certainly, as the amount of events spring up, I just think logistically it's becoming impossible to have some of these traditional things where you've got like the workshops and the competitions, weighted numbers, really, people and events, I suppose.
Yeah. And nowadays you can do a HEMA event every weekend in Europe. There's something to do. It's great.
Yeah, it's something I'm doing that's interesting. Is this year I'm spending a lot of time in France, which is where I've really started off on my sort of the international career. Last year was very much Spain. Before that, it's been Italy. And you can actually choose a region if you want to, if you're able to go and teach, and you end up focusing around these areas, and the contrasts are really interesting as well. So I would recommend people to try, if they are able to go to a variety of events, is to travel basically.
And go there. One of these very nice social events is also Dijon. One of the oldest HEMA events, the same as the Dreynevent here. And it's also, you have a lot of different workshops with A-class instructors teaching there. and also you can taste a lot of stuff. But I think it's important for the instructors also to get out there, not just send your students, but the instructors as well, because now you can see, okay, I've seen Rob teach, maybe I want to bring him in my school. We don't do rapier or rapier and dagger, but I can use the principles from rapier to strengthen my longsword skills. You can teach me about distance, you can teach me about timing, and that I can use to improve my longsword skills. And
okay, just interrupt. One last thing is that we're moving on there. I had some discussion with a lot of my rapier colleagues, and also with some spurists and so on, that actually we're now interested in making our workshops more demanding, slightly more technical. But a lot of the time they're sort of like, come along and have a, we'll do these techniques, and we're going to do this particular manual. Whereas now we're getting more interested in challenging the students and trying to push some of these principles, illustratable techniques, to come back to it. How do you feel about that?
I like the fact that there's a question to give a more advanced, more in-depth workshop, because this means the community is also growing. Where previously it was almost enough to say, oh, this is a sword, hold this.
Yeah.
But now people are asking for more in-depth workshops. And at the end of my workshop, I got questions that really made me think about, that's a really good question. How am I? And then I gave my vision and my explanation for it.
But do you feel we should perhaps be more, talking with Daniel Jacquet about this, that should we be more academic, stretch even the beginners from the beginning?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Or at least have it out there for them to take. I think it's a very bad thing that we as instructors should keep all the secrets, and it's not medieval time.
No.
And there's a lot of information out there, but I really encourage my students to pick up a manuscript and ask me questions about it, or to do a study group on Ringen, for example, something we don't teach in our regular curriculum. We use it, again, to elevate the longsword, but it's not a separate thing. People should be challenged more. Yeah.
I think it's an interesting thing to say we're getting away from here is just a sword and we're going to play around with some of these things, to actually trying to demand of people to do it. I believe people are more satisfied, but that's we shall see how we get on this.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for the time. Cheers. Cheers.
Hi, so I'm with Peter Rengenyei, who doesn't speak very much English, so I have a wonderful Chubba here who is going to translate for him. How are you two?
Oh, we're fine. Yes. A bit tired.
You had a good event?
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay. So Peter Rengenyei is really well known throughout HEMA of producing very good quality swords, also for a lot of competition equipment. So we're going to have a look at some of the weapons that he's brought today, just talk through anything he wants to see, and also look at something a little special they've got. We'll come to that in a second. So Peter, can you just show us through some of your weapons you've brought?
Milyen fegyvereket hoztam rá bemutatni? Ez, amit kiemelnél?
Hát ugye szokás szerint hoztunk mindenféle fédereket, kardokat, napírokat.
We brought a lot of stuff as usual, faders,
Let's
sabers.
walk in and have a look.
So we brought usually a lot of faders and long swords. We also have some special sharp weapons, some museum replicas. We have sabers, but most of them are sold out, so there is one left. We have one-handed swords, messers, arming swords.
All the weapons.
All the weapons, yeah. We have rapiers, we have special weapons.
Weapons of interest.
Yeah. Everything you need.
Okay. Now, I must say that obviously the feathers are used. We've used them a lot. Swordfish, of course. The sabers. My club used the sabers. They are very, very good. We just have a quick look at the rapiers.
Yeah.
We'll just see. So here is one that's known for the T-bow guard. I just want to point out that the grip is very, very long. It's designed for people who use lacrosse gloves. So I know a number of us rapiers may have some issue with that, but Peter will reduce the size of the grip.
Yeah, basically he can make them any length you want. So if you are using smaller, lighter gloves, you can ask for a shorter grip. If you are using heavy gloves like the Koenig gloves, they will fit but you need a lot of space because of the bulk.
And obviously, as any self-respecting rapierist will know, they will want to use a finer glove for the subtle finger play. I would say one thing about the blades, which I find very nice. They're quite stiff, but they've got an excellent flex on them. We'll just get this flexed. This is quite important in the bind because we know that several makers are quite floppy when you're trying to get the bind. But we had a play with the bind earlier and they were really quite nice. So look out at that. They seem to come at a standard of about 110 centimeters, 42 inches, but you can make them longer, can't you?
Yeah, it's possible. Milyen hosszúra tudsz készíteni?
Ahogy a honlapunkon is látható, 100-110 cm-ig van a tengyatok, úgyhogy azon belül bármi.
Yeah, so from 100 to 110 centimeters it's possible. Yeah.
Okay, as a standard.
And we have a new product,
Yep.
which is really new. This is the first time.
Assemblable 10, de még mindig egy tesztidőszak van, ez egy új anyagból készült.
It's still a testing period. This is a new material, new steel, which means it bends, so you can stab your opponent if he gets too close, but it returns to shape. So yeah, it's in development. Yeah, fejlesztés alatt.
Yes. Hát tulajdonképpen most kész, most fog felkerülni a honlapra.
Yeah, it will be on the homepage in a couple of days, and you can order them.
Okay, can you just give the website, please, so people can find you?
One moment.
Rengenyei.com. Rengenyei.com.
The exact homepage is rengenyei.com.
Okay, thank you very much. So any other weapons you want to show us whilst we're here?
Még valami, amit kiemelnél?
Fegyverekből nem, de van egy új fejlesztésünk, az pedig a gép.
Not of the weapons, but we have a special machine
Ah.
we brought up. This is röviden elmondom, hogy működik.
Igen, de a Martin Campis és Yuval Kupias itt lett a gép, ők csináltak hasonlót először.
Okay, so Peter got the idea from Swordfish,
Yes.
where Yuval
Yuval Kupias, yep.
and,
Yep.
and Martin, they made the first prototype, and he was really impressed by that prototype, so he started to work on his own. The main difference is, if I recall correctly, is that their machine could detect force, and with this machine there is also a program. There are different types of programs, and you can switch between them.
Well, let me step back and let's see this in action.
Program first is
This is the force measuring program.
Okay.
You basically hit the sensor, and you get
Okay,
Newton.
just stop a sec so we can see. So we get a.
Yes.
I don't know if we can see this coming through on here, but on the screen you'll actually see that. Where are we getting it? It's not going to come through, but basically we get the newtons coming on.
Yeah. So basically, you can measure your strikes for force, and
Just come over
we
here.
had some really interesting comparisons. Like we tried this feather type blade. This produces around 3,000 to 5,000 newtons usually. You can hit a lot harder. The hardest was something 7,500 volt.
2078 a high tartja.
So
feather.
the strongest blade with a feather was over 7,000 Newton, but we used other types of swords, for example, one-handed messer, which is really stiff, and we could do 12,000 Newton strikes with that. So it was interesting to see the differences between the weapons.
Okay.
And we have a second program. So it's a different program.
Again, I'm not sure we'll be able to see this again.
I will briefly tell you how it works, and then you can film Peter doing it. So basically, you push a button, and there is a countdown from 5. When it reaches 0, you have to wait, and when the green lamp turns on, you have to strike as fast as possible to the sensor, and you can see your basically something like reaction time, and you can also see the force of your blow. So Peter will demonstrate.
Okay.
So for example, this strike was 467 milliseconds and 2280 Newton. This is an average strike, but the best we did during the Dreynevent was 338 milliseconds, so around 1/3 of 1 second. For you see the signal, you strike the sensor.
Who has the record?
It's currently it's Peter,
Peter.
but he sets up all kind of rules when someone tries to break his record.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, but this will perhaps be the new thing as Swordfish, will it? Will be breaking Peter's record.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he will take the machine to Swordfish, the upgraded machine with more programs and basically these sensors. If you can show it to the viewer.
Yep.
So these sensor work that you can unscrew and turn them around. And then
Oberhau.
Yeah, then you can try your Oberhau, your Zwerghau, your Schielhau, Schweitelhau, whatever. So it's really versatile.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot of things with it. You can set up your own training program. For example, one thing we tried was with the second program, we put the blade here. Peter will demonstrate. So we put the blade near the lamp. When you see the lamp, you have to strike the sensor as usual. This simulates something like cutting from the bind around, just from the wrist and the forearms. And you can see that even this amount of travel produces over 2000 Newton of force. So it's still powerful, but quick.
És hát igazából ez egy olyan gép, ami segít a tanulásban, meg objektív mérésben. Ez csapatoknak készült, hogy felvennék az embereket, és az edzéseknél is például ugyanezeket az ügyeket meg lehessen nézni, hogy akkor mennyire megy.
Yeah, so the main idea with this machine is to provide basically training and measuring medium. So you can get a consistent reading about your timing, about your, not the timing, but your reaction time, and about the force of your blows. So the plan is to make this machine for groups, so they can use it for training with a lot of different programs and upgrades. Yeah, this is the long-term idea.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time, and as usual, good luck for the future.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm joined by Oriol who is the one of the main organisers of Dreynevent. I'll just adjust the camera slightly so we can see your full gorgeousness. Okay, we're going to have to start off for the uninitiated about the hats.
Well, actually, the secret of the silly hats is a secret that lies somewhere in the past when dinosaurs walked the earth.
Okay.
Meaning that we did as a group HEMA and medieval reenactment. And when we started with medieval reenactment, we were especially appalled by the silly hats. And so we made it our duty to introduce the silly hatness also to HEMA. And now we're living up to a reputation and we can't get rid of it.
It's incredible, really, that some of the hats have been just startling.
Actually, we have a feedback form for Dreynevent, and there was 1 year or 2 years ago when we had a feedback there were not enough silly hats, so we have to live up for standards.
You do for what the customers request.
But as we want to make this a little serious...
Oh God, put it back on. Okay, let's talk about Drain 2017. It's a different year this year. Now, a lot of people have heard about Dreynevent, but can you give us like a very brief overview of what it is, what it's been, and what the changes are this year?
Okay, this is now the 12th official Dreynevent. We started in 2004 by just trying out how to organize an event on our own when we were inspired by events like Dijon, mainly by Dijon, because actually it was the only international event we've come across at that time. And we said, hey, it's absolutely fantastic to have brilliant HEMA minds at one point, at one time, and brilliant HEMA fencers but why do we have to go 12 hours by car to Dijon? So why don't we invite them here? And that's how we started in 2004. And 2005 was a break, and since 2006 we do it regularly on this spot in February. And we started small with 1 or 2 trainers. I wouldn't bet if he was the first, but one of the first was Dave Rawlings, of our instructors. And the event slowly became bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we have up to 15 or 16 international trainers and about 230 or so participants. And we try to cover all aspects of HEMA, be it longsword, rapier, saber, wrestling, whatever. And unlike other events who have their special trainers who are always the same trainers at one event, we try to vary. So we try at least to have everybody who has a good name and a good reputation as a HEMA trainer, to have him, him or her, at least once here. So unfortunately you were here the first time, you had to wait so long. Okay, on the other hand we have Alex Kiermeier, who is here every year from the beginning, but you know, that's the one that breaks the rule. Yeah, and we also try not to have workshops, but also lectures, and we give all the participants the possibility to visit the Royal Armories in Vienna, which is included in the fee. Yeah, lectures, workshops, demonstrations.
You also have a particular set-aside time for instructors as well, to discuss things and to sort of work through things. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, this is new. This is new for this year. Actually, I was inspired by the people of Hammerborg in Germany. I was up there in December, actually for the IFHEMA meeting, and on the Sunday we were invited by Hammerborg, who hosted the IFHEMA meeting, to their so-called open hall, which is basically everybody can come together and just try out. Hey, this is my interpretation. How does this work at your club? And we thought, well, that's a brilliant idea actually, because we not only have our trainers, who were the trainers for the event, but also amongst our participants we have people who are trainers in their respective clubs. And so we thought we would give them an opportunity to play and to compare interpretations, because our space is also a matter of need, because our space is a little limited here and we only got one hall for sparring and for the tournament fights. And this year we had 2 tournaments, the longsword and the rapier tournament. And so we decided to give all the trainers a special place and a special time slot where they just can team up and say, hey, okay, I show you my Zornhau and you show me your Zwerchhau, or whatever.
Yeah, but it's something that struck me as we were talking about this. We were saying about people got various areas to do things. It's a huge site. We don't actually see this on the blog. You've got 4 giant halls, none of which are labelled the same as the official hall numbering, which I think is reflective.
Which is very traditional. Yeah, because this is a mistake we made at the very first event, and we continue this for tradition purposes.
But to come back, I'll get back on path with the instructors. Something I was talking about with Kool, Kronenberg earlier, and a number of instructors is we've been having in the workshops actually increasingly technical discussions, as opposed to some of the old days where it'd be very much an introduction to and so on. A lot of the workshops have really tried to stretch some of the students in doing this. Do you think this is something that Dreyn is encouraging now, perhaps a more academic approach, or are it just happens to be a happy coincidence?
Really, I think it's just a happy coincidence this year. So I haven't heard of this involvement in the last years. So it's just something that aroused this year. I don't know if it was inspired by this gathering or if it was in spite of this possible. I don't know.
Okay. And what about the future? Are you happy to keep this sort of on the same course, or are you looking at further developments?
Actually, I want to run for President of the United States.
That's-
But I was born in Austria.
Yeah.
Well, we thought we will keep it on. I mean, this is the first year actually. Big Man Harry was not on the organization team, and I hope so. We managed to do a proper event, even so. And if anything went wrong, of course, Harry is to blame.
Of course.
Because he spoiled all the people before, and now they are setting up too high standards we can't live with. No, actually, we think we in our hearts we will go on. Now we will definitely want to continue with that. I mean, I'm waiting for, of course, the feedback of this year, or maybe we get abysmal feedback this year, but from what I've heard already, I don't think it will happen. After all, we've had very good trainers this year.
Apart from me.
And you.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think there are also some trainers we haven't had here yet. And we have also enough trainers. We have promised that they will be invited again. I think if we invite all trainers who had very good feedback, and we promise to invite them again, we would have to do an event with 40 trainers and 17 halls. Problem is, this is the only proper hall here we can get, and we're limited by this space we have. But on the other hand, we're over 200 participants. I don't think we could handle more.
No, it's a big event. Okay, well, congratulations. I've had a fabulous time since I've been here.
Very glad to hear that.
I'm enjoying hitting people a lot of the moment and being hit, so I'm going to get back to that. But Ollie, thank you very much for your time.
And thank you for coming. And I hope you come again as
I
a
hope
trainer.
so too. Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Cheers. Bye.